Hello everyone and welcome to another very special episode of Let's Talk About It monthly podcast. My name is Mary, and when I say this episode is special, we have several reasons. First of all, with this episode, we are closing 2022, which was very successful in different areas for us as an online school and hopefully for our partners and students and families. And hopefully we are opening the doors for a more successful 2023. But more importantly, this episode is special because we have a very special guest. All the way from the USA to the heart of Europe, Mr. Jim Benitez from Accelerate Education. Jim, welcome.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Anita. Thanks for having me.
It's really nice to have you. We are really happy about it. And of course, my co-host and dear colleague Anita is here, but Jim introduced you before I did.
I was going to say, you went without introducing me.
No, how can I forget that? Hello, Anita. Welcome. Okay, so Jim, you are coming from Accelerate Education. Our families that are watching us know Accelerate Education as our partner, whose program we use and the platform we use. But can you tell us a little bit more? When was Accelerate Education founded and how it all started?
Sure. Well, thanks for Education Worldwide for having me. Appreciate having me on. This is my first podcast, so
great.
I'm honored to be here in this great studio. But Accelerate Education, we were founded in 2010. It was founded, the previous Accelerate Education, myself and Mike Axman, who's now the CEO of Accelerate Education, had a company called Event to Learning. Mm-hmm. And we started that in 2002. In 2002, it's 20 years ago, and it was such an interesting time because online education was just taking off in the U.S. We with Event to Learning, we had that business. We eventually sold it, and then we started Accelerate Education in 2010. And currently today, we provide kindergarten through 12th grade online courses, and we have about 3 million enrollments worldwide. Wow. Just like everybody else.
It's really a huge number.
It peaked. I mean, with the pandemic, it went up, and now it kind of come down a little bit, but stabilized. And my role, I handle the international clients, such as yourself, which I really enjoy because the thing about international, it's almost like what the U.S. was
in the beginning,
excitement,
right?
the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just the excitement because people are learning the benefits of online education. And you see it in different countries in Europe and around the world. And to me, that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
So be happy to talk more about it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, actually, you made quite a good introduction. I knew that Accelerate was founded in 2010 or 11. I don't know what I saw on the internet. So I knew that you're a decade, but it turns out that you're 2 decades into the online education business. So can you tell us, and that's something that we are also trying to explain to the families who reach out to Education Worldwide because they're unsecure. I mean, families from Europe and Asia, they're not familiar with the online education, yet in the US, online education is basically regulated on so many levels. So can you tell us a little bit about those beginnings that you mentioned like 20 years ago, how it looked like, how it was like 10 years ago when you started with the Accelerate, and of course if you can bring the story up to nowadays and explain what has changed in all this during this time.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so please stop me because I could probably talk about it.
Feel free to talk.
But I remember when starting out online education in the U.S., colleges were really the first ones that kind of did the online learning, but really K-12, no one was really doing it. It was really brand new, and the U.S. government funded a program called the Advanced Placement Incentive Program, grants. So millions of dollars they were to State Department of Education. In the United States, with the 50 U.S. states, each have their own Department of Education. So, and they kind of act independently. So the U.S. Department of Ed funded, one of the things they could use for that funding was online advanced placement courses. Because the idea was, and you have it today, we were talking earlier about advanced placement here in Europe and around the world, you may not have, in the US, there might be a rural school, and they may not have enough a teacher for AP Physics, or they may not be enough students to make an AP Spanish class. So one of the benefits of online learning is that you could, everyone, no matter where you live,
you can actually
you can
take
have
that
access to the same courses as you would maybe in a big city.
Yeah.
Or in a wealthy area. It doesn't matter your income level, doesn't matter where you go to school, where you live, what you do. Maybe you're an athlete, you can't get to a classroom. So going back to 2002, that's kind of how it started. It was all these big grants, and then from there, the advanced placement, it kind of high school level was kind of the next core courses in high school, because they figured this is working out. There's some benefits here, and. So high school, maybe athletes, or couldn't go, or maybe were sick, had some issues. They couldn't make it to a school building. So we started doing high school courses, and then from there is middle school. And then one of the last things, more recently, probably 2000, maybe 5 to 7 years ago, was the K through 5, the primary school education. That was the kind of the last kind of bits and pieces. But it's really changed. I mean. You go to the content today, what it is today, to what it was when we first started. I mean, it's so much more engaging.
Yeah.
The content, it's multimedia. Because the generation of students today, it needs to be engaging, because that's one of the things of online. You guys do so well is you make it fun and exciting and engaging for the students.
Well, you have to do it.
Yeah.
There is no way back. Anita, did you want to ask something?
Actually, I just wanted to point out, it's interesting that you said how you started off with like high school, and then middle school, and then elementary school, whereas now people like start from elementary school and then like with online schooling, and then work their way up to high school. So it's like reversed. You guys started out.
No,
and then...
it started working for the younger students as well. I think the parents are skeptical a little bit when it comes to younger students, because they're not that independent when it comes to learning. But you mentioned actually a really, really good thing, and that's the engagement that the platform itself provides. And I think that young students feel comfortable when they're online, when they're on the platform, familiar with everything. Everything is inviting, and yet not just like to scatter their brain all over the place, but just to focus them on the single matter that they learn. I will probably jump on the next topic with this question, but we can go back. So I wanted to ask how much time or energy does Accelerate invest into this content on the platform and multimedia? Did you change? I mean, when you started, did you have like maybe only, I don't know, like lessons that are just a block of text and only a couple of pictures, and did it change over the time?
I mean, yes. I mean, and I was with our executive team in the Seattle area, a few months ago, and we were kind of laughing about that, because I mean, we look back at some of the early courses that we did, and it wasn't just us; it was the industry itself. I mean, I remember there was a Latin course, and one of the images in it was this like stick figure guy dancing to in a Roman gladiator costume, and that was like the idea of like multimedia. And if you look back at it now, it's like it's kind of ridiculous to look at it. But when we showed that at that time, everyone loved it. They would laugh at it, and the kids loved it, and it was like one of the funniest lessons. But when you look back at it, it's kind of it makes no educational benefit.
To be fair, I think people would still find it
funny.
Funny. Maybe you should dig that up, and maybe we should show it to the students, just to see their reaction of how it used to be and how it's now.
It kind of reminds me of that little paper clip that you had on Microsoft with the googly eyes. So it's like he advanced all the time.
It's basically like that. Yeah, it's changed a lot. Like with just now we will put as you guys probably know, like we build new courses. I mean, but they also have to refresh the existing courses, because we have, I think, a few hundred courses now, and you can't, you put them on cycles. So maybe every 5 years they're refreshed, or every 5 to 10 years. It depends on demand and everything. But you need to refresh existing courses with not only technology, but maybe like an AP
Pictures.
course. Yeah. Maybe AP course, like there's a new, like a curriculum. So you need to kind of,
Adjust it basically
adjust
and
it,
update it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to show you the
Because-
dancing Roman gladiator. It's,
Yeah,
it is
I
like a
think we
paper
need
clip.
to see
Yeah,
that.
well, too bad there's not a,
Yeah, too
can't
bad we
show
don't
it.
have it now, but who knows? Maybe for one of the next shows and one of the next episodes we can do that. It's really interesting to hear that. And obviously, after so many years in this industry, do you get any feedback from the families that are actually using online education for their kids? Do you have like you can tell us about the U.S. As a market, let's say it like that. Like, what are their impressions? Did the confidence in online education grew, or what they see as the biggest benefit of this form of education and learning for their children?
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say in the US it's kind of gone mainstream. Because now governments fund it, I mean, in a number of states. So they'll fund online learning. And there'll even be requirements in some states, like my home state of Michigan, there's a requirement that every high school student has to graduate with an online learning experience or course.
Really?
So they
Wow.
have to take a course on
Wow.
online learning
And that's
course.
really a huge step.
Yeah, so it's I'd say and in every school district will have some offerings. In the U.S., every state might do it a little differently. Sometimes, it's every school district will provide an offering,
Yeah.
or some states, the State Department of Ed will have something for the whole state.
Yeah.
But it really depends. But pretty much every place there's, I'd say mainstream is the word that first comes to mind in the U.S.
That's really great.
Yeah.
When we hear about countries here in Europe, just putting a hard no for online schooling when we're talking about K through 12, yet they do have universities that offer online
courses.
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
education. It kind of seems like double standards, but I don't think that they see the potentials of online education in general, and that's exactly what you talked at the beginning about being able to follow a quality curriculum and getting a quality education regardless of where you live. And if there are other students in your area and stuffs like that. So,
But to be fair, I would say, also online learning is not for everybody either.
Of course,
you can't.
that's
And then
it.
we saw that with the pandemic in some countries and states where
Yeah,
they
but-
put every student in.
And it just didn't work out
Didn't
very
work.
well.
You-
But at the same time, I feel like physical learning isn't for everyone either. So it's like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
best of both of us.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's why if the online learning is not for everybody, it's another option.
Yeah.
And the brick and physical learning the school is not for everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a mix. You could do a mix.
Yeah.
Hybrid, we kind of call it in the U.S. And then I would say also, that you just have to be, fair. And one of the things that you guys do real well, talking about like maybe some concerns about online learning, is engagement and the success rates. And that's always, for 20 years, everyone's always talked about, our students completing the online learning courses. And the best way is engagement. Teachers and, what you guys do, I mean, we're just, seeing
Yeah.
your offices. You keep families and students engaged,
Yeah.
you could conquer that issue of online learning,
Yeah.
of success rates and completion.
I think there's still just that like little stigma of like online learning where parents are probably like, but how's my child going to concentrate, or how can you keep them alert or keep them interested? And
Well, give us a
just,
chance.
join our school and you'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is,
But-
if you look at, like, I have a 10-year-old, my youngest daughter, the amount of learning they do just, on their iPad or computer
yeah,
outside of
yes.
school. They're picking up so much if you just look at them normally. And then, sometimes in the physical school, it's not 100% learning either. There's a lot of maybe some, social thing. So it's not all or nothing, but I definitely think the trend is going where more and more students are learning more and more, online.
Online. Well, like if you look at babies, even not just babies, but like toddlers and stuff, and they all have their iPads, they all have their like phones and
Yes.
everything. So like children these days are very tech savvy, so
Yeah.
it's not strange for them.
Absolutely.
And also with that idea too, I mean, textbooks that physical schools use, they're out of date. The day they're printed. Anything, you know, they usually don't. They'd be years before they get new textbooks.
Yeah.
And with online, if there's you can edit the
Anytime.
anytime.
basically,
It's up to date as long as you want to.
I also think that the element of multimedia content is working very well, you know, for online education, because, as Anita said, kids are from very young age in front of their
Exposed to it,
laptops or tablets, and they're used to multimedia content to get their attention, you know, and with this, they actually use that multimedia content for good purpose. So all is good from my side. I honestly talked several times, you know, when people ask me like, "Oh, would you do the online school?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would really love that I had the online school." Needless to say that every single person in education worldwide who had a chance to see our platform was like, "Oh, wow,
I wish we had this.
I can have this in my school. I would be frequent in all classes and everything." So I think that it's going pretty well. And as you mentioned, like here in Europe and with the Asian market, we have like a difficulty in the beginning explaining them that all is regular, legal, and has its own purpose. Like their children will not just be in front of the laptop or computer, you know, spending time and not learning anything. But I think everything goes when they start and when they make some first progress on the platform and stuff like that. So those doubts are gone.
Plus, when they go to university, no matter where they go in the world, there's going to be online learning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know in the U.S., any American university, they all do some online component. You know.
Well, even when I was like in university, and like this was pre-pandemic and everything, and like a few of our like courses were online, and we had to do like Zoom and do it like that. So it wasn't even because of a pandemic. It's been around for a while.
Yes, because I really think it's important for a young person to be familiar with the
virtual worlds.
Absolutely, with Zoom or with any other program, you need to be comfortable, you know, watching people over the screen, because many businesses are now happening online, regardless of the pandemic. Plus, this international environment. Again, one of the things that I like about our school is because they can get to know different cultures, you know, experience different characters from people's, you know, from young students. So. All is good.
I mean, so if you're a parent in a family, you know, concerned about is online learning, you know, a right choice. I mean, no matter where they go in life, a few years later, college, university, business, work, they're going to have that experience. So it's good to
be prepared, basically, and to have experience with everything. Well, that's great. It's really nice story. I actually feel sorry that we didn't have the chance to invite you earlier when we started this podcast, but it's never too late. So, okay, great. And tell me, Jim, where does Accelerate see themselves in some near future? Like, what are your goals? I mean, 3 million students enrollments is like a huge number, but I'm not talking about enrollments in general. Like, where do you see progressing with this or taking this online education from your part? How would you like to?
Great question. You know, for me, from my personal viewpoint, I'd like to see more countries, more areas of the world kind of adopt some online learning practices, or, you know, get
see it as normal, basically.
Or you know, to get more usage. I mean, we you know, work with you guys, and we probably have about 30 different countries, but there's still, you know, large chunks of the world that, you know, we're not doing any work with. So that's a personal thing. I like to work with more.
So you basically want to take Accelerate education worldwide.
Well.
Sorry for the wordplay, but it's basically
exactly.
like
we were waiting a whole year for this one opportunity.
Exactly. Take education worldwide. That would be one. I mean, whereas Accelerate, I think, you know, continuing to refresh courses. You know, we do, going back to international, probably 95% of our business is in the States. So I think that's gonna, kind of international is gonna grow. More and more students, just so you're saying, more families are getting comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You're in a stage where getting more comfortable. So if you follow the same trajectory, I would think we're gonna have more international families become interested in pursuing that as an option for their children.
Definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
I have a question. Like we can't wait to come in the year of existence where we could say we had a student that we enrolled in elementary school and they went all up to high school with us, because education worldwide exists for 6 or 7 years only. But we are going to do. But I believe that in Accelerate you have the similar experience, at least like 10 years of existence. Do you have students in the Accelerate Academy, or did you know that we're staying with the Accelerate, we're enrolled in Accelerate, let's say from elementary school all the way to high school, or to just complete the whole process?
I'm sure we do, but it's a little, for us, in elementary is more recent, so we're kind of,
Yes.
I'm not sure if.
Oh
I don't think we've
yeah.
had
Sorry, I
elementary
forgot that you said
12
that
years.
you started with the elementary.
But I think
later.
also our schools, so when we provide the content, like we might not necessarily know if a student, someone you'd have to like I wouldn't know, you'd tell me.
Yeah.
You're not a student.
Oh,
but
okay,
I'll make a little statement here, a groundbreaking breaking story. The first student that starts K at Education Worldwide and graduates 12th and stays in the whole year, Accelerate will fund the scholarship for them.
Oh wow, this is exclusive.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll work with you guys and Stefan, and maybe we'll put a $500 or something
Okay.
like that. But we'll fund a small scholarship, a stipend, as
okay,
a
that sounds
congratulations.
really,
Nice.
really.
It might be a few years, but
Yeah.
let's put it on. I'll make.
We'll start
groundbreaking
our college fund
Yeah.
now.
Said it,
So
we have
I got to
do
make
that.
news in my first podcast. So that's my news.
Now we're gonna have a lot of kindergarten requests, which is good. It's not a bad thing.
Okay, so the enrollment.
If you're okay with that, I didn't even.
Oh.
This is all.
We're okay with
it. Will be really,
Yeah,
really
Stefan, if you
good.
guys are okay with it,
It is a thing that deserves like a celebration, and I think
Absolutely,
that a stipend would be
Okay.
a really, really great thing to
Maybe they could have when they graduate 12th grade, they could have a big party with their family and friends with the money or something.
And
Something
hopefully
like
by
that.
that time we'll have some kind of a graduation ceremony.
Yeah, we
Even if
talked
it's
about
online.
it because, but it's impossible now to coordinate all the students because
Yeah.
they're, in education worldwide they don't start their school year at September,
times,
but
yeah.
throughout the whole.
And if you guys want to
Calendar
use,
year.
if you have several graduates, you could maybe have a graduation ceremony and use the money
That's-
for that.
that's
party.
what
Whatever
we're
you guys
thinking
want, but I
on
think
how to-
I
Yeah.
had to make news. So.
Okay, so huge news.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So what do you guys think about like what do you hear from your families and your students, like some of the things that Accelerate in the content could do better, could help you guys and help your students and families? Any things that come to mind?
To be honest, and I'm really not being biased or anything, but we haven't had any like negative feedback. Like we've only had praise of how organized it is, of how like interactive it is, of how much the, I'm not going to say kids because we have like young kids and we have older, but how much they like engage and they've learned from the platform. And just because and I've mentioned this in our previous podcasts, is there are so many different like learning methods. They have video, they have audio, they have text. They like even for the health and PE courses,
pre-recorded
they have like
videos,
physical
yeah.
stuff to do. So even if it's like getting up and doing 5-star jumps or something like that, it's interactive and it caters to all different learning styles. So that's one thing that I personally love about Accelerate, and I'm sure a lot of our families would agree, is that, you know, if their child, for instance, can't like pick up a book and read it and process that knowledge, they can type it up or print off the worksheet and write it down. So that's a really good thing that you guys have implemented that we're all very thankful for.
Yeah, I agree with Anita. I think that that these are exactly the examples of what families and students love about it. And one other thing that I noticed, and even though I didn't have the opportunity to go through all learning materials, I do love the selection of electives, the variety of elective subjects that we have, because it truly gives students an opportunity to learn something different. And this American curriculum is very different from example, from European curriculums. They have the opportunity to learn about some areas that they don't get the chance to learn in their own schools throughout the Europe, regardless of where they are, or in Asia, like I don't know, maybe some IT subjects or subjects that are more in line with this day and age, and something that they can actually use, and they get to study that in school and earn a credit point and earn a grade, a mark, so it's really interesting for them. And they find they find the learning material about it interesting as well. It wasn't just like, oh, look, this sounds cool when you mention this elective subject, but when they start learning, they're really satisfied with what they get throughout the course. And that's something that I also personally like the most about the program that we offer. So.
Well, students and families
Mm-hmm.
of education worldwide, if you have feedback,
let us know.
Let them know, and we love feedback. I mean, good and bad, and
Absolutely.
we definitely like to incorporate that into
We're
future
actually
development.
planning to send one of the. We usually do it in December, where we send out some newsletter and with the short survey where we ask them. So maybe we can ask, and we will gladly share with Accelerated Education anything that is useful. So
Excellent.
we can, let's say, together work on making everything better. Okay, great. So, Anita, do you have any questions for Jim?
I had one before, and then
Well, while you're thinking about it, the one thing is, you going back to one of your other questions about what has changed. I was talking about the
Yes.
the stick
actually,
figure.
that's what I was gonna say. Because when you started from from 2002 now to 2022, that's 20 whole years of online education. Can you tell us a little bit more about what has changed throughout that time, and how the students have changed? Not necessarily how the students have changed, but how they basically learn, how that has changed.
Yeah, good question. And I'm going to jump on your previous comment, Anita, where you talked about different learning styles.
Yeah.
If you look back, the early days of online learning from not only our company but every company, they'd be sometimes just text on a page and a few pictures, which so you would that would be just for that one learning style.
Yeah.
Did you have the reading?
Yeah.
Someone who's good at reading, but any other auditory learning, whatever, you'd miss out on them.
Yeah.
Or they would be sometimes they would be just like a professor, a teacher. I remember one content company. And I was just thinking about this the other day because I saw the guy that owned it, and it was basically he had his great idea. He thought it was the greatest idea in the world at the time. Was teachers would sit in front like this in front of the camera and just talk. And that was just that learning style of someone who wanted just to hear a lecture. And that was early days, but now, if you're familiar with our content, you guys, it's you're getting multiple learning styles.
But even with the video explanations, there's a button that says transcript, so you have the written transcript of that video.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
And we didn't have those tools. I'm sorry, Mary,
No,
but
sorry.
we didn't have those tools back then too. Like now, we're talking as we're starting. There's the translation tools, things like that, 120, 130 different languages, which I think is the greatest thing. I mean, I love, because no matter where I go, it maybe not the student who needs a translation, but maybe it's if it's a third grade student and the parents are
working with them,
a different language. Maybe they don't speak English. Maybe they speak Swahili or whatever. They could follow along with their students. So it brings the family, brings the family together in the learning process, especially at those early ages when you kind of need that mom and dad or a guardian to be involved. So anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. I forgot what I wanted to say. Oh yeah, regarding the transcript for that, because and you mentioned the languages as well. We have a lot of students whose English is not native, and they are still struggling with their English, and they really love this transcripts or translation in videos. They really find it useful. So I think that's also one of the greatest things. And I really have to say, Accelerate did an amazing job by thinking about everything, which doesn't come as a surprise because you guys are 2 decades in this industry, and
like everything is set out so simply, but so organized, and there's everything that you need on the one toolbox. And
that's the one thing I like as a the engineering aspect or user aspect. I sometimes worry that we have too much, like it's not simple enough. So it's good to hear that you think it's simple, because I'm always fighting our curriculum people or our technical people. Keep it simple, because I want to make sure the mom or dad or the student who goes on the first time can intuitively follow along. So that's a kind of a pet peeve of mine.
My impression was that it's really intuitive that you mention it. When they enter their profile and start their subject, it's, at least for me and for what I hear from some of the students and families that I've been in touch with, they're really satisfied with that. So but that's really important.
You know what else is my favorite tool whenever I do a demo of the platform is that little calendar. That calendar, when you click on it and it has your whole week set out, and all they have to do is log in, click on the calendar, and then click on the lesson on that day or the assignment or whatever it is.
And it's really good that they have the calendars for the students who are facing online education for the first time, don't really have that self-management. They're not ready to organize their own time. I mean, the platform did it all for themselves.
It gives a little bit of structure, because you can. I mean, the benefits of online learning in asynchronous, you could work on it anytime you want, and you could do it at your own pace. But the calendar gives that little bit of structure, which
it's
nice.
really important. It's really important for students, because even sometimes. And I also noticed students asking hey, you told me that this is a self-paced, but this calendar on the platform, that they get scared a little bit, just to give them that, because we're sometimes I think that when we're talking with families that maybe we are being sometimes too friendly, and that kids don't take the school seriously in the beginning, they think oh, this is something easy, and when they start working, then when they see that the quality of the curriculum is good, and the requirements for passing a certain course or subject or getting a passing grade are high, they realize that they really have to put effort. It's not like there's no opportunity that you go to school and don't learn anything and finish the school. It's not the case. And I don't think it will ever be, regardless of how they will learn in the future. And speaking of future, what do you think about AI and bringing this AI and this goggle thingies and stuff like that, putting kids into artificial environments? Do you see this online education colliding with that area sometimes in the near future?
Honestly, it's a great question, I honestly haven't given personally a ton of thought to, but I think with anything other new technology, I mean, there's the good and the bad, and I still think you need to manage, especially K-12. So you need to try to take as many of the good of AI, and there's some good in the technology, and trying to limit the negatives of it. So I think it's just try to moderation in some of these new technology tools, and with K-12. It's still, especially at the younger ages, it's still families, and there's you have the student, you have the teacher, you have the family, so it's kind of a holistic unit. But that's I'm going to give that more thought, and I want to talk to our curriculum team, and if I have further comments about.
No, I was just wondering. Do you guys have a plan for that? But did you think about it in general?
The AI, if you make it, the more interactivity, it's better. And I think you have to stay, like 20 years ago, students, you couldn't, fathom where it is today. So
It was very traditional. It was like one way and that's it.
And it was like that for
yeah. And
a
people
long
will
time.
work, just like you said, does it work? Is it safe? Are they going to learn? Is it good for them? All those good, every parent, every guardian just wants the best for their child. So those are legitimate questions. I think that's a great question, Mary.
We'll have,
Well,
we'll
maybe
have an
next time.
accelerate robot.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys, because you guys are worldwide, and I know you guys work with students all over. Do you see certain areas of the world, certain countries, certain that's really taken off lately, like with online learning, with families interested, or more so than others? Or is it just generally?
I think geographically, Europe is very, I would say, like Europe and even Middle East, they're like our main kind of, I don't want to say like,
Well, you can say markets because we do.
Main markets. I don't want to sound like a
word for it.
like we're marketing something, but that's like our primary market because everyone there is kind of like used to that. The fact that everything is transitioning online, not just schooling. More and more so now the Asia Pacific. So we have a lot from like the Asian countries and even Australia as well. Like we've been having a lot of like inquiries from there and.
I always find it's where it kind of like picks up fast. Like it'll be slow and
then boom.
And then suddenly there'll be some people that use it and they had a great experience and then they tell other people and they tell other schools or other families and it starts taking off. We
still don't have like that kind of situation where we can pinpoint one country but as Anita said, like Europe in general, honestly, I was kind of scared because during the pandemic we all knew that people enrolled in an online school because it's pandemic and they found they needed something as a substitution because they weren't able. And I was kind of skeptical about what is going to happen in the next years. And honestly, when I see our enrollments now and in general, just interest that goes for online education throughout the whole year, I mean, January to December, it's really, sometimes it's frightening, to see that people are changing habits. And I do have to say that we have experienced like this shift, like a little bit, seeing that people are not so strict, like the school needs to start on 1st of September or the beginning of September like it used to be a couple of years ago. They couldn't grasp the concept of being able to start their school year anytime they want. Like if you're enrolled with us in October, you're not falling behind because you will start from the beginning and learn at your own pace and you will still be able to have classes and everything. So I think that we still need to see that major change in the audience and in the families and in their perception of education and online education in general. But I think Europe will be the first one
But
to see that.
Also because like Europe, like in most parts of the world, the school year starts in September. A lot of families, and you would have noticed as well, are not as like frightened to have them start earlier or later. They're not very strict with my child needs to start in September or I'm missing out or how will this work. We just explain it's self-paced. They can access like the platform whenever and it's like great. Like even if they don't coordinate their time like throughout the day, in the evenings or something, they can like log on and do it. So that's, I think, one of the most important things and one of the main reasons why people are happy is that they can access it and work on the platform whenever they want.
Well, as we used to market it in the beginning, humble beginnings, when we said to families like, don't go to school, bring your school to you. You have your school in front of you.
Do your homework in your pajamas.
Your bedroom, but we advise them not to learn in pajamas in bedroom.
I mean, you're going to remember those, when your early days, when you're first starting out and you were, introducing it to.
Yes.
I mean, you'll look back at those days fondly.
But it's really interesting for me to see how education worldwide has grown. again, thanks to partners such as Accelerate, because we used to use different platforms before, and as mentioned, we had some problems. They were going down very often, and the content wasn't really that great. We were able to make a huge step in terms of quality of the program that we provide and the system that we use, thanks again to Accelerate in such a short period of time. So I think it's really that had a huge influence alongside our online classes that are giving like a special flavor to everything that that we do.
Well, the one thing I've noticed, and that I've fortunately had the insight being here, visiting you guys a few times, that maybe your families and your students don't entirely see, is the just the culture you have. It really is why you guys are doing so well. Really, I've walked into hundreds of, probably maybe even 1,000 different schools or institutions or businesses, and when the teachers, care and have effort and just are invested. It doesn't matter what kind of content you have. I'm just being honest, even though we're the content, that's the most important part. It really is. Yeah. You care. And that's why, student success and student engagement. So I think you guys deserve a lot of credit because it really makes a difference.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you because both Anita and I know that our teachers are doing their best every time, and it's sometimes it's really, again, I will use the word weird when you see a teacher fighting for a student so much, fighting to help them, to get them back on track if they're falling behind, and as you mentioned, invest themselves even more, like this doesn't really become anymore like teacher student, it's more like a friend of a family and the students. So
it sounds so basic, but it's not replicated as much as you think, and it's like the most important thing. Just having that, even though we're talking online, having that human connection is still the most important part. And that's why, like with you guys, I know you primarily serve. I think you primarily serve like families and students, and that's kind of how it started at US, and then eventually schools and governments saw us as a partner. So now, probably the majority of our business, I know the majority of our is directly the schools use contract with us or governments, and I think maybe that might be talking about the future. To your question earlier, that might be where education worldwide, increasingly schools and governments increasingly see you guys as a partner.
Yes, definitely.
For them, because there might be a student in their school that they're set, we talked earlier, they can't make school. Well, then maybe, and they don't have the resources or the knowledge or the experience of providing online courses, and maybe you guys would be their partner to provide that.
Yeah, that's really sounds great, and that's definitely one of the holes that we are looking to when we think about the future possibilities and future for the education worldwide, definitely. And
for the Accelerate education.
So okay, this was a pretty interesting talk. Jim, thank you. Would you like to add something before we wrap this up?
I enjoyed our conversation. Like I said, if the families have any feedback, would love to hear it, and really enjoy our partnership. I honestly do.
Likewise.
And I really enjoy working with you guys. I admire what you guys do and your culture, and so thanks for having me on. And
we just want to say thank you as well, because every time we need something and always reaching out to you, you're always like quick to help us, and like just little things like that, like, hey, we need this up and running, hey, can we do this? It's
when we can sort out things really fast.
It's like having you there with us all the time.
And I feel bad sometimes because it's a 6-hour time difference and 9 hours with our main office. So
that's why I wait till it's our afternoon when you're waking up. But
with calculations, like what time is it?
Is it like Jim should be waking up right
now. And you caught me a few times. I usually don't
drinking
put my bed
morning coffee and seeing an email
at my nightstand, but the one time I did,
at least you're polite. So I think that should be taken into consideration. Okay, and you may also notice that this episode it's not streamed live due to this special occasions and circumstances we had to pre-record it, which doesn't mean that you don't get the chance to ask the questions. So one of our administrators will be present and online while we stream this video sometimes in December, so feel free to ask any questions to Anita or Jim, even though Jim wouldn't be here with us at that moment when you ask questions. We will send him the questions and he will reply with the video, so you will get your answer. Or if you have any questions for us, you know how it usually goes. You can just ask the questions and we will reply, but not obviously in the show, but in the comment section. Thank you for watching us. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Channel, and hope to see you in 2023 with some new podcast episodes, new topics that we're going to discuss about online education. I will also use this opportunity to wish you Happy New Year and have a great time during the holidays. Thank you for watching us. Bye.